Today we are going to speak about how the men fall in love. So to all the men and women out there, if you want more satisfying relations, you have to watch this video till the end, and also consider using it as an opener to jumpstart some serious conversations if you need them in your relationships. But hey, I'm not going to give you the regular dating coach information that you can find all over the internet, because that would be a waste of your time. What I am going to give you though is the actual psychology behind how a man subconsciously decides to fall in love and what keeps us in that state for the long run. Word of caution: while applying all I'm about to say would most probably lead to improved quality in your relationships, this can happen through either one of these three ways. Achieving more fulfilling interactions with your current partner as a result of accepting these natural forces, coming to the realization that you need to terminate your relationships and think of other greener pastures elsewhere, or by simply enjoying solitude and starting to figure out yourself for a while. Did you know that 63% of men under the age of 30 are single, while only 34% of women under the same age are not in relationships? Or did you know that 57% of single male adults say they are not even looking for relationships or dates? Let me rephrase what I've just said. 6 in 10 men under the age of 30 are single, while more than half of those single men don't even want to be dating. In today's fast-paced world of societal expectation, shifting gender roles, and evolving relationship dynamics, there are clearly a few fundamental things that we as a society didn't get right. So if you as a woman want to know what truly makes us men fall deep for you, or if you as a man want to understand the forces at play that make us feel a certain way for the chosen one, this is the perfect video that's going to address the taboo subject of men's preferences when it comes to mate selection. When going through the research for this video, I came across something fascinating. 45% of single college-educated women say the major reason for their single status is their inability to find someone who meets their expectations despite them being at the prime of their careers and personal growth. And although the same women demographics see themselves as being successful, smart, ambitious, mature, independent, here comes a stingy truth bomb, ladies. From a purely psychological and evolutionary perspective, your success markers and independent status turn us on the least in women. But in case you plan to quit watching this video before it's finished, I'll give you right now what we find the most attractive in women. It's your feminine energy that gets our engines running, along with just two other elements which I'll share later in this video, and that most women pay little to no attention to. Ignoring any of this information I'm about to share is literally 80% of the reason why your romantic relations are suffering or not improving today. But before I continue, feel free to ask me anything related to today's essay in the comments below. I promise I will go through each and every thought you write, and if you're interested to expand on anything I will be touching on, just tell me and I'll consider making a video based on your requests. Now let's start with how idealistically men view love. Before exploring traditional marriage vows, it's essential to understand the origins of marriage as a social institution. Anthropologists and historians suggest that marriage emerged as a foundational pillar of early societies. In its earliest forms, marriage wasn't necessarily about love, but about creating social stability and ensuring the survival of communities. Studies conducted by Helen Fisher and Sarah Hardy indicate that by formalizing pair bonds, this practice reduces conflict, ensures parental investment, and fosters social stability. Now, returning to present times, one of the most striking examples of how men idealize love comes from traditional marriage vows. To have and to hold from this day forward, for better for worse, for richer for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, till death do us part. These words encapsulate a profound desire for commitment, partnership, and enduring connection. But enough with the romanticism, because that is the destination that all couples embarking on this relationship voyage would eventually like to arrive at, but only a few make it there alive. The ones who do make it till the end in this voyage are the ones who truly understand the interplay of the three simple stages of how men fall in love. The first stage is lust. Lust is the spark that ignites attraction. It's primal and driven by testosterone. By the way, did you know that the typical serum concentration of testosterone in adult men is 20 to possibly 60 times the concentration in women? But back to lust. Let's be clear, lust is not love. It's nature's way of pointing out to us potential mates. Physical features like facial symmetry, clear skin, and body language all are cues of health and vitality that can trigger this response. Dr. David Buss's cross-cultural studies on 37 cultures around the world highlight how physical attractiveness serves as an universal indicator of fertility and genetic health. Features such as facial symmetry are believed to signal robust genetic development and a woman's ability to resist environmental stress during growth. Clear skin, another universal standard of beauty, suggests an absence of disease and good overall health, both of which are associated with higher reproductive potential. Studies also show that body proportions like healthy waist-to-hip ratio in women are subconsciously interpreted by men as indicators of fertility and hormonal balance. A healthy waist-to-hip ratio is typically considered to be around 0.7, meaning the waist circumference is approximately 70% of the hip circumference. Researchers have concluded that men prefer this ratio because it correlates with optimal level of estrogen, better fertility, and a low risk of chronic diseases throughout the adult life. Studies involving eye tracking technology and surveys have shown that men consistently rate women with this ratio as more attractive. In everyday life, this preference might manifest as men subconsciously noticing or admiring these proportions. As these preferences manifest in a subtle way, a man might find himself consciously drawn to someone's radiant smile or the way they exude vitality, while in fact this biological framework operates largely on a subconscious level, demonstrating how evolution shapes our perceptions of attractiveness and not societal norms or values. As part of the second stage of falling in love, next comes attraction or romantic love. This is where the emotional fireworks happen. Norepinephrine gives men the racing heart or sweaty palms. Dopamine creates a high, making them think about the object of their affection non-stop. This stage, according to Dr. Helen Fisher, can last anywhere from 6 months to 2 years into the relationship. During this time, men experience significant fluctuations in serum testosterone levels. Studies have shown that at the onset of romantic attraction, testosterone levels tend to increase, fueling confidence, competitiveness, and a heightened focus on pursuing the object of affection. This surge can contribute to the excitement and intensity commonly associated with this stage. However, as the relationship stabilizes and deepens, testosterone levels gradually decline, making way for oxytocin and vasopressin to play a more dominant role. This hormonal shift in men facilitates bonding, trust, and long-term commitment, highlighting the body's natural progression from infatuation to attachment. It's when a man might start to think, she's really special. This stage, from my own experience and anecdotal evidence, looks like constant daydreaming, nervous energy before a date, or the feeling of being energized after spending time with someone. Research also shows that this stage can mimic the effects of addiction, with similar brain reward systems being activated. So the take-home idea here is that in day-to-day life, what we as men need to do in this stage is just enjoy the cascade of wonderful experiences. But you should never say the love thing to your partner sooner than 2 years in. Although the perception of your feelings might be accurate, wouldn't you rather say it in a truly meaningful way after all the infatuation hormones have leveled off? Which brings us to the third stage when we reach attachment. This is the glue that holds long-term love together. It's driven by oxytocin, the bonding hormone, and vasopressin, which fosters loyalty. Research indicates that vasopressin is linked to territoriality and protective instincts in males, particularly in the context of long-term relationships. A notable study by Yang and Wang in 2004 on prairie voles, a monogamous species of rodents, revealed that increased vasopressin activity in the brain strengthens pair bonds and enhances partner preference. While humans are more complex, similar mechanisms are believed to operate, with vasopressin fostering a sense of responsibility and emotional attachment to one's partner, thereby solidifying loyalty and long-term commitment. But here's the catch: men's testosterone levels initially block oxytocin's effects. So here's the very important takeaway, ladies. Genuine emotional attachment takes time. You cannot realistically expect to have true love, the one that lasts for decades, if the bonding hormones haven't started to kick in. Men often need to develop emotional connection to fully feel in love. And once we do develop this connection, studies by John Bowlby reveal how this stage reflects deeper emotional stability and long-term commitment by showing how attachment behaviors in adulthood mirror early bonding experiences from childhood. For example, securely attached individuals demonstrate a greater capacity for trust and resilience in their relationships, traits rooted in consistent caregiving during childhood. Subsequent research by Mary Ainsworth expanded on this, illustrating that adults with secure attachment styles not only handle conflicts constructively, but also foster environments where emotional needs are openly communicated. This last stage of attachment reveals itself in the quieter, steadier aspects of the relationships that gradually play out during the years to come after the romantic attraction phase. Think of shared routines, affectionate gestures, or simply feeling at peace in each other's presence. It's no longer about fireworks, but about a deep sense of trust and companionship. But why do so many men struggle to form lasting attachments while others seem to fall in love deeply and easily? Again, the answer lies in childhood. According to attachment theory, early relationships with caregivers shape how we bond as adults. Men who had secure attachments as children are more likely to trust and connect in romantic relationships. On the other hand, those with avoidant or anxious attachments may struggle with intimacy or fear of abandonment. Bowlby's research reveals that the bonds formed with caregivers in infancy act as a blueprint for future relationships, influencing how individuals perceive intimacy, trust, and emotional availability. Individuals with avoidant attachment styles often had caregivers who were emotionally distant or unresponsive. This leads to a belief that the dependence on others is unreliable, making them prioritize independence and self-sufficiency. As a result, they may withdraw or appear aloof in relationships. Individuals with anxious attachment styles, on the other hand, typically experienced inconsistent caregiving. This unpredictability fosters a deep-seated fear of abandonment and rejection, leading them to seek constant reassurance from their partners. In day-to-day life, these dynamics manifest in subtle but impactful ways. For example, a person with a secure attachment style is likely to approach relationships with confidence, open communication, and an ability to give and receive love freely. Conversely, an individual with an avoidant style might prioritize independence, often withdrawing when a relationship deepens. Meanwhile, those with an anxious attachment style may exhibit clinginess, constantly seeking reassurances from their partners and most of the times overwhelming them. But these are not labels stamped on our foreheads. They are fluid expressions of our past experiences. Therefore, understanding these patterns allows couples to better navigate emotional triggers and build healthier, more supportive connections. So now that you know the 3 principles of how men fall in love, here's where it gets even more interesting. Men's attraction can follow 2 parallel tracks. One for long-term attachment and one for short-term gratification, both running at the same time. This dual mating strategy, highlighted in studies by Dr. David Buss, reflects the evolutionary pressures at play. Dr. Buss's research suggests that men are biologically wired to seek short-term mates to maximize reproductive success while also pursuing long-term partners for emotional security and cooperative parenting. Therefore, the short answer to today's video essay question, how do men fall in love, is opportunistically. And make sure you click on this link up here to understand how the women fall in love. But while in women's case the opportunism is related to the preference for resource acquisition as a prevalent evolutionary adaptation, men display a different adaptation, taking the form of reproductive or sexual opportunism. The information coming from OkCupid's huge data set on male and female age preferences in dating is something that every man and woman should be aware of and even openly discuss about if they're thinking about staying in a long-term relationship. Let's jump over to the computer and quickly go through the numbers. First, let's see how the ladies stand. That dotted diagonal is the age parity line, where the male and female years would be equal. The numbers in red are the ages of men who look best to her relative to her current age, which are the numbers on the left side column. The way to read this is very simple. On average, a 20 years old woman thinks 23 years old men look best to her. A 25 years old woman thinks 26 years old men look the best to her, and so on. You get the point. The first pivot point is at 30, where the trend of the numbers on the right, the ages of the men, crosses below the line, never to cross back again, indicating that until 30, a woman prefers slightly older guys than her. After 30, she likes them roughly the same age or maybe slightly younger. Then, starting with 40, women only like younger guys. For us men, we're very consistent. Starting from high school and all the way in our 50s, we only like them young. As you can see, we have the same data structure. The numbers in red are the ages of the women who look the best to the man, while the numbers in black in the left column is the man's age. Never between the ages of 20 and 50 do men prefer older women than 24. That's one way to understand Leonardo DiCaprio's preferences. So, to wrap everything up, how can women build more meaningful connections with men? Here are my 4 actionable tips that will get the biggest bang for your bucks. First thing to consider is patience builds depth. We as men take time to emotionally open up and develop trust. Let the flames of the lust and romantic attraction stages rebalance the hormonal signature in your man from a testosterone-driven profile to a vasopressin-driven one. Secondly, and a huge mistake many women make, as your relationship progresses from the infatuation stage of romantic attraction to attachment, never use sex as a conditional weapon. We see intimacy in a very competitive but at the same time highly rewarding part of our adult lives, both psychologically and physically. So if you as a woman see sex with your man as an obligation or reward rather than a deep, genuine desire meant to tighten your bond, your relationship will end sooner or later when you find out about him fooling around with his much younger secretary or intern. Remember, the main hormone that regulates everything we are as individuals, physically and mentally, is at least 20 times more prevalent in our systems. So, don't expect 60 years of sexual revolution to make us something that Mother Nature worked against for millions of years. Long story short, ladies, if you are not attracted to your man, communicate this openly to them. And if you still value that relationship, you should either discover ways to reignite the flame or let him outsource his sexual needs elsewhere by opening up the relationship in a healthy, transparent way. This last piece of advice I've just said works well also for men. Gentlemen, stop going behind your partner's backs. Man up, address the issues in your life and in your relationships, and draw your lines in the sand. Third thing on my list is appreciate his need for purpose. Men often find meaning in providing and achieving. Celebrate his efforts and ambitions. It fosters mutual respect and strengthens your man's self-confidence. And lastly, fourth thing, get familiar and understand the attachment styles. If he's avoidant, don't push too hard. If he's anxious, offer reassurance. Tailor your approach to his emotional wiring. These insights highlight how small intentional actions can profoundly strengthen trust and connections. And ladies, I cannot overemphasize the importance of consistent, meaningful gestures over grandiose displays of affection. Practical examples include active listening, like really tuning in to what your partner is saying without distraction or judgment, and verbal affirmations. I also want to point out to the power of physical presence. Small acts such as holding hands during a conversation or maintaining eye contact can reinforce emotional bonds. These actions, though small, can create a ripple effect of deeper intimacy and emotional trust over time. And for the men looking to understand themselves better, first thing on my list is explore your attachment style by reflecting on your childhood relationships, because knowing your style can help you communicate your needs and address emotional barriers. Second thing is, don't confuse lust with love. Take time to build emotional intimacy before committing. Genuine love grows slowly. No, you should not tell your partner you love her sooner than 2 years, even if you truly feel it deep down. And no, you should not ask her to marry you before you vet her for a minimum 3 years of relationship. 3 years might sound much now, but it's nothing compared to a possibly 30 years long miserable marriage. So I guess you'll thank me later. And third thing on my list for you men out there, seek partnership, not perfection. Instead of focusing on finding the ideal partner, invest in building yourself as a man and get familiar to practicing impermanence by watching this video right here. Again, if this essay resonated with you, you might consider using it as an opener to harder conversations you might need in your relationship. And if you found value in it, consider sending it to some other people who might benefit from it. But whatever you do, don't forget to like the video, and until next time, remember, the best relationships start with the best of you.